Now that you've had a chance to do that activity, thinking about something that you know how to do really well, or something that you just recently learned, what and writing down the parameters of that learning, what I think you may have found is exactly what I've found when I've done this activity with teacher after teacher after teacher, dozens and dozens and dozens of teachers, that when we take a close look at the learning process, there are three ways that everyone learns. And basically, it's typically called the gradual release model. It's what balanced literacy, if you use that term, is based on. But basically, it's the idea that no matter what kind of learning we're doing, typically the parameters that help us to learn it well is first we have a model, like it might be a YouTube video, or in my case, it was the physical therapist that modeled the crutches for me. But it's the expert, someone who's an expert who shows us, the learners, how to do the thing. And that's the I do, right? Because the I do being expert. I do, everyone else is watching. So for me, it was when the PT modeled how to walk on the crutches and I watched. Right now, take a little bit of a time to think to yourself, what who modeled for me? Did I have a model? And then the next step in any learning process, no matter what, is the we do. So for back to my story, that was when the PT and I worked together to get me to walk on the crutches. Remember, he walked behind me, he touched my shoulder, he tapped the correct leg, and we worked together to make sure that I had some semblance of an idea of how this thing could go, so that I could do the third parameter of learning, which is the practice, which is typically called the you do, right? So I went home and I practiced over and over and over again the thing that PT modeled for me, and then worked side by side with me so that I would be able to practice it on my own. Believe it or not, this is the way that no matter what we're learning, whether it be learning a new cell phone, or learning how to tap dance, or learning how to play basketball or swim or knit or cook, or anything, a skill in ELA or a skill in math, these three parameters are what is necessary for good learning to happen, where we have an I do, we do, you do model, where the expert models, then the expert works side by side with students, or with the people that are the learners, so that they can work together until the students, the learners, feel good enough or understand the concept enough to practice it on their own. And this is why workshop works well, because it is set up so that you can ensure that those three parameters of learning get done on each day's workshop. So when we think about workshop, we have, and we'll talk about this in a later video, but we have this idea of the mini lesson, which is the expert. Your units of study are um, just a collection of mini lessons where you get to be the expert. You get to be in that I do. So when you do a mini lesson, it's the I do. It's this: watch me do this thing. You're all in front of me. I'm going to show you how to do this thing that's in this unit of study. And yes, there is a little bit of we do, because there's this thing called active engagement, which we'll talk about more in a second, where the kids try it right in front of you. But for the most part, your units of study, the sessions, the mini lesson sessions, is that I do part. It's the watch me do this. But then after the mini lesson, the kids go off to do their own reading or writing, depending on which unit you're looking for. And they practice. And it's also that time for you to do the we do. So in that independent reading or writing section, that hopefully grows as the year it goes on. You might start with independent reading or writing, starting at like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on the grade level. But we build on that while as the kids grow stamina. And during that time, should be the largest chunk of a workshop time, you are doing both the we do and the you do. The we do is you're going to be conferring and pulling small groups to guide and support and help students learn what it is that they need to learn, if you're being responsive, or things from the mini lesson if you're doing something that's more general that you want the whole class to know. And then in the you do, it's a chance for them to practice either what they learned in the mini lesson or what they learned when in a small group or in a conference with you based on what it is that they need as a learner. So in a workshop model, we have this natural ability to be sure to ensure that all three learning parameters happen. And I do, we do, and you do. So that's what I want you to carry with you as we're moving through this a first unit, trying to get you to understand and navigate it. Is that units of study for the most part are a collection of mini lessons that help you to do the I do really well. There are other things in the units that help you do the we do and the you do, but it's not as much. For the most part, your mini lessons set you up for the I do. Um, and so when you're going through those, you want to think of it that way. This is the time where I'm the expert and I am modeling. And then when the kids go off to do their own reading and writing, that's the time where I am supporting them by doing side by side work and allowing them time to practice. And we'll continue with that in another video.